Live in 30 seconds, the rocket-powered report is the meeting of three casters. Stay tuned for esports news in Rocket League, chat about our favorite game, and all the laughs. And now, your hosts, Rock Whisperer, Curtis, and myself, SilentEcho.
Guys, welcome back. Welcome to the first recorded edition of the Rocket Powered Report. As we have we're actually hitting the big red button this time that actually will save the archived version of this. So if you missed it, you can come back later. But I am Curtis. With me over here to my direct side is going to be Stone or Rock Whisperer, and then far over there because he smells is actually going to be SilentEcho, and we've got a pretty good show for you for sure. Going to go over some stuff with RLCS, going to go over things that happened between RLCS and now, as there has been a lot of things that have happened results-wise, and some transaction movements that we definitely want to talk about. But yeah, welcome in. If it's the first time joining us, this is going to be a weekly thing. We are going to be doing the Rocket Powered Report, I believe, Stone, on Mondays, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Monday afternoons at 1 p.m. Pacific is the goal.
Yep.
Is the goal. Well, so 1:30 and you'll probably catch us.
1:30 you're safe.
Yep, there you go. So
turn up at 1. We'll get a reel going.
I'm doing great. Been busy, very busy, and actually I'm going to take this moment to say that for the next X amount of time, we don't know how long, I'm no longer going to be casting tournaments. I haven't been able to recently. I'm not going to be able to in the near future. Life's getting in the way. Just going to focus on the podcast, and that's going to be it.
Okay, fair enough. That's actually the first time he's dropped that news on us. So
I know. Me and Curtis are just sat here like the shells are going off around us. I'm having Nam flashbacks. It's just total shock from all of us. But you got to put your priorities where they have to be. So it's just one of those things.
Sure. We're doing this because it's fun, not because it pays well.
Yeah, yep.
Well, speak for yourselves.
Yeah. Well, you have our one paid guy over here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Silent, how we doing?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Very well. So I just got back from London this morning for that aforementioned paying business being on TV last night. So that was a really good laugh. Made some good connections, met some great people, and it was actually really strange. And I do my weekly article. It's going to be one of the topics that I kind of touch on is how I just kind of completely lost track of everything that's not Rocket League related over the last 6 months. I walked into a gaming bar and watched a guy go through to like BlizzCon in the Hearthstone preliminaries. Like he was literally sat in the gaming bar, like playing on stream with Frodan and Kipler talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, Hearthstone's a game. And I used to watch like all of the tournaments for that.
Other than Rocket League.
Turning up my input volume on Discord, guys. Let me know if that makes a difference. Gabe, I think you're looking at it. But I turned myself up instead of him having to do it. So if that makes a difference, let me know. Either way, yeah, we've had a lot of stuff happen in the Rocket League environment over the last, say, week and a half, 2 weeks. We, of course, had the RLCS International Final at the Avalon in Hollywood, California. Season 1 culminating with an absolute bombshell of an event that was put on by Twitch, Psyonix, Cloud Fuel, all of them. We're going to get into that here very, very shortly. But really, it was almost like Rocket League Church. Everyone came to worship everyone.
That's it. Everyone was genuflecting to Jeff Dunham.
We even had our Lord and Savior make an appearance.
Indeed. Over Zero from IVP.
Rocket
is coming
Jesus.
Out party. Rocket Jesus, yes. And he's actually known on Twitter as that as well. So
I love that he changed his Twitter name to Rocket Jesus.
Do you know what? I'm going to go grab that image and we'll put that up in a second. So you keep going, guys. Don't mind me.
Great image, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. I love this picture. It's just the best thing, and because that's exactly what it was like. It was just Over Zero was the untested guy coming in and just like the plucky guy coming in sub, like Waterboy finally off the bench, gets to play in the big leagues, and man, he killed it. In fact, what we'll do if we
he used to clean toilets in the IPP practice facility.
He was their water boy, pretty much.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's actually. We did a bit of a test run through a minute ago on account of streams not starting when they're expected to, and things like that. But what we can do, we can jump to the clip of the save from over0 against Flipside, and this was in their first round series. And this save is just insane. I mean, it's really hard to see because you don't get a replay for a save, but he just pops it right back out. He hits it at such a strange angle. It's just perfect. Like I have no idea how he got that much power on it he was going backwards, he flipped forwards, the ball somehow just went directly back where it was supposed to. It was great.
Oh man, yeah, it was like flipping a pancake almost. Well, he has a pancake of a car that he uses, but still.
Hey, don't you talk about the Batmobile like that.
Hey,
oh, well,
we will talk about the Batmobile like that.
No way. Silent and I are both Batmobile mains now.
So what we've got running now, as well as the other thing that won, over0 into everybody's hearts, which is that air dribble. And then him jumping out of his chair and then having to fetch his chair because he's thrown it away because he stood up so fast.
No one else had that much energy. The whole RLCS.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And I said this before, and I'll say it again. He absolutely brought a level of personality to IVP Cosmic that we really, to this point, haven't seen before. I mean, Kernovi's basically a Rocket League robot.
Yep.
And
that's definitely
a 15-year-old.
Legino's a 15-year-old, but he did have his own emote. He's got this thing going on for his emote after they won. So
he does.
Personal emote on his stream. Yes, he's trying to get it approved by Twitch and going through all the channels for that. But it's going to be done. So he at least had a facial expression. But Kernovi was an entire robot the entire time. over0 should be the face of that team as far as
well. I don't think they could have done it if over0 wasn't as much of the hype man for them as he was. I mean. I think they went in there kind of thinking, well, you know what? We had our chance. Gambit left. We're just going to play funsies kind of a thing. And he was like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to have fun doing it. And I'm going to kill it.
Yeah,
it worked. That's exactly what happened. But let's get off the IVP train. We're going to show that carry goal in a bit here as we get back to the finals.
It's been rolling the whole time we've been talking, guys. We can't. We will. Yeah, we'll come back to that many times. We've got him jumping out of his chair and everything. It's all happening. And we've also got now over0 in the fourth slot next to Curtis. So we've just got that picture. Rocket Jesus with the Batmobile and the Halo. Oh man,
I think we're gonna leave it there for an extended period of time at least.
Yeah, that's it. Although we're actually gonna come back now to the standings overall for RLCS and just quickly run down that. So in first place we got iBuyPower Cosmic. They took home $27,500. It's just a crazy amount of money between three people.
Day.
Yeah,
you can't argue with that.
Pretty good day of work.
Dota 20 million international. No, that's not important. We're talking about 27.5 grand, but it is the most money that anybody's won for playing Rocket League. It's the biggest prize pool we've ever seen, and we've already had the promise on day 2, just before the Rocket League Rumble announcement. We'll talk about that in a bit. But we've already had the announcement that the next prize pool is going to be bigger, and. Yep. The rumours that I've heard is that every 4 months. Whether it is every 4 months, I think every 6 months is probably more likely, but I've heard every 4 months, and I've also heard very strong rumours that it's going to be EU next time for RLCS, which is very interesting.
I think it'd be fantastic if they did that, but we're going to get into the future of RLCS in a bit. Let's talk about what happened from basically day 1. And on the EU side, we had the powerhouses that came up. You had your Flip Side, you had your Northern Gaming, or as formerly WeDem Girls, and we're going to talk about roster changes with them in a bit. But really, there was a surprise on the EU side that we have to talk about, and that was TFD, the Flying Dutchman.
That 4th place slot, Flying Dutchman, the Flying Cinderella, I think is a more fitting name.
Well, we've got the clips running in the order that I gave them to you guys. So right now we've got Fireburner scoring, and I just think that this really sets the tone for the whole series, or what everybody thought was going to be the tone for the whole series. Because Fireburner just comes up in the first 20 seconds, he just scores a great goal. Jacob's popping it off the backboard for him. It's a wonderful shot. Flying Dutchman just caught trousers around their ankles. And then when it's the best way I've got to describe it. So pants for you guys Americans. I'll translate for you guys. How about that? But Then we come into the next goal from Kings of Urban, and they're looking so strong right now. 30 seconds in, and they're 2-0 up. It's the first game of the first series that they're playing in the RLCS. They're feeling good about themselves, and then it all started to go a little bit wrong from there. And
it was fantastic. Go ahead.
That was a crazy first game.
Yeah.
Just looking at everything. I mean, you have Kings of Urban 2-0 first 30 seconds. And they got just overconfident, I guess. And then all of a sudden, the next thing you have is the Flying Dutchman ahead and down a player.
Well, we've got it running here. So this is actually Vogan's goal, 3 minutes 23 in the first game. So this is where Flying Dutchman were like, hang on a minute, no guys, we're EU rocket team. We got plays for days. We're gonna come and bring those into you. So Vogan then and just having a great partnership there with Jesse, and that's just a wonderful play. And then we go into just a couple of seconds later. In fact, it was about the same amount of time between the two Kings of Urban goals. It's tied up with 3 minutes left. So in the first 2 minutes, we've seen 4 goals, and everyone's just like, RLCS is gonna be amazing. So
I want to touch on a little bit of the Flying Dutchman's backstory here. Because I don't think it gets enough credit for what it actually was. Basically, Vogan was basically doing some ranked matchmaking, ranked queuing, and came across Jesse and Dogu, and they figured they played pretty well together. Vogan needed a team for RLCS, so he's like, hey, how do you feel about teaming up? Yeah. So they did. And all of a sudden, don't look now, but they're the number 4 team in the world right now with the RLCS final standings for season 1.
Yeah.
And the amount of the body of work that these guys have put in from day 1 of the last qualifier into getting them into the international final, getting them prepared for, I believe their first matchup was Genesis, no?
No, their first matchup was Kings of Urban.
Was Kings of Urban.
KO, that's right, yeah. KOU, their preparation that they put in, the body of work, put them head and shoulders above a bunch of different teams, including that of Market Esports EU. You had KOU as well, Exodus and Genesis that finished below them.
Well, we do have to talk as well about the fact that there's only 2 teams in all of the RLCS that are entirely of one nationality. Flying Dutchman, because they're all Dutch, and I've forgotten who the other team was. I'm looking it up now. But there's only one other team. I think it's Exodus. I want to say Exodus.
That sounds right.
I think it is Exodus because Genesis has Hot Wheels Sid.
Lachinio's not of an American.
Yeah, Lachinio's Canadian. So, but yeah, it's just crazy. Yeah, it is Exodus. Exodus is the only other sort of national team in RLCS. I thought it was fantastic. I mean, there's the fact that 3 Dutch guys came together and then called themselves the Flying Dutchman, which is the best name ever, by the way, because that train is a legend in and of its own right. And to see them come through and just do what they did. So we're gonna jump back very quickly just to the last clip that we have, which is where the Flying Dutchmen take the first game and really set the tone for their whole journey through this tournament.
I think right after that first game, not even that first game, the actual first game, when you see the Flying Dutchman score a goal 2 versus 3, you can almost see on Sad Jr.'s face him just start to tilt.
Yeah.
Jacob always is known for having that big smile, and it was gone. Not there.
Definitely. And that's something that's really that we need to talk about as well, because they had a DC, and for whatever reason, even though they scored while they were a man down, we had a reset on that. So I haven't actually included that in there. I probably could have put it in, but honestly, there's only so much time in the day. But
but that is something I wanted to talk about. Why would they reset in that situation?
Yeah. But do you know what? Yeah. I wonder whether the Flying Dutchman just did a very clever bit of psychology there and just went, okay, well, they've said, oh, do you want to have a reset? Even though we've just scored and we're currently leading the game. Let's say yes. Because psychologically, the impact on that, where it's just like, oh yeah, like we just scored on you, but it's okay. Like we'll give you another chance because we know we were a man down when we scored on you.
Yeah.
And the tilt factor from that is just incredible. So yeah, I think that KOU were not prepared for the tournament in the slightest. I think that they expected to come in and have because they have a relatively easy ride. They don't really have to try all that much. They're just a solid team and they do well, and they're more aggressive than most teams, and that wins them tournaments and matches all over the place. So they were not prepared for the EU.
Aggression in Rocket League is really king. I mean, that and a solid offensive rotation, because in Rocket League, there's no doubt that the best defense is a good offense. You have the opportunity where you play 2 up, 1 at the half usually, and as long as that guy at the half can keep that ball in and keep the consistent pressure, obviously they have much more of a shot at. The other team has much less of a shot at getting the ball into your net from their own end than they do in your end. So
yeah, well, and the greatest example of that was Northern Gaming, especially in the RLCS. I mean, as I think we were talking about it earlier, there's no one position. Most teams will have, you take the old iBuyPower with when Gibbs was in it. He was their man back. He scored a lot of goals, but that doesn't mean he was their striker. That was very obviously Kronovi back then. And I would say Kronovi isn't even the striker now. I think Lucinio is. But
I would agree with that.
Almost every team has that man back, and they have these set positions. And so you have teams like Northern Gaming. And I definitely think the Flying Dutchman were trying to incorporate that. It is more of an EU style of Rocket League play.
Yeah,
that you're just constantly pounding that backboard. Yeah, I mean you're playing Brick Breaker. You keep hitting the bricks off of the wall where the goal is until finally it goes in and gets past.
Yeah, I think that it's something to really touch on. Actually, is a conversation that we had last week in the podcast that was forever lost. But we've pressed the record button on this one. Don't worry, everybody. I've checked several times the VODs are enabled, and I'm recording it locally. There's no way that we're not keeping this. But right now we've got the bracket up on the side there, and I just want to point out, like, just in the first 2 rounds, like the first 2 sort of rows as we go down the bracket over there. Like, we've got Northern Gaming 3-0 against Genesis. We've got Exodus 3-0 against Mocket EU, which was a surprise to be fair. 3-1 Flying Dutchman Kings of Urban, and then 3-2 iBuyPower Flipside. So that's perfectly even in terms of EU versus NA results.
Yep.
And then we go into the losers bracket, and 2 EU teams.
I'm going to cut you off for just
through.
a moment. I will say this: the best series of the RLCS, and we're not going to spend too much time on it this time, but the IBP Cosmic and Flipside series from the first round.
Oh yeah, Clash of the Titans.
Absolutely special.
Yeah, it's the match that everybody had been waiting for, and I said this on Jinx yesterday. It's the number 1 team in EU versus the number 1 team in NA. Like, as far as popularity, as far as any measurement that isn't actually like the form just in the last couple of weeks running up to the LAN.
Yeah. Which is
if you go back further than that,
week before the LAN.
Yeah, exactly. So they were the Titanic Clash in a no disadvantages for ping or latency or any of that kind of stuff, and they just went through and they smashed it, and Cosmic just came out and they played their hearts out. Thanks to our 4th host, who's just below me here. He stepped up and he did exactly what you said earlier. Yeah, to your left, Curtis.
Yep. Yeah, to my left. This is my
there you go. We're looking at you, remember?
Like, I don't know if it's this way or this way, but one of them. I'll just do this.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah.
But it's fantastic, and I had such a good time watching RLCS. It's been such a long time since I just sat down and watched all of that was what I planned my entire weekend around, was the fact that I was going to sit down and watch 14 hours of Twitch.
You and 250,000 other people.
Yep. Well, my poor girlfriend goes, "What are we doing this weekend?" I'm watching RLCS.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. What you're doing is up to you.
Didn't have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Rock was single for 72 hours.
I thought I was going to be single for 72 hours.
You thought you were going to be single forever afterwards. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, seriously. Stepped to the plate, sat through RLCS, but it wasn't having to sit through because you had so much energy throughout the entire thing.
There was no way you could just sit and watch that. It's just
exactly
impossible.
Well, and as she said, she loved seeing Findable Carpet's beard and Rocket Jesus. So.
Well, to be fair, that was what I loved most about it as well. So I can't
The two
complain.
highlights.
Like, if we could combine Rocket Jesus and Final Carpet's beard, like, I don't know whether that would be then, some kind of super entity that we then wouldn't be able to contain, and it'd be like the creation of AI. What have we done? who authorized this type thing? But
Right.
I thought it was fantastic. Just overall, I loved every second of every part of that. So
I think and I don't know if we need to go over RLCS all too much longer.
I think we're about done. I'll throw on
Congratulations
the
to all the teams that played and everything like that. Of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
sorry, Silent, not to cut you off there.
no worries. We'll just pop
Flying
Over Zeros
Dutchman.
back on. Yeah,
Yep,
Flying Dutchman
fantastic.
stepped up. Like,
Giving you a heads up, Silent, the
Yes.
mics on us are breaking up apparently according to Twitch chat. I'm monitoring
right.
as we speak. So,
Alright.
and that's on everyone's.
interesting.
So,
I'm not entirely sure what's causing that, because it's all coming through clear on my headphones, and it should just be going straight to Twitch.
Yeah, you guys are coming. You
there.
guys are coming through fine on my side too.
Yeah, I haven't had issues with it. Thank you for keeping us up to date, though.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Spectra Hydra.
Yep,
We'll
Yes.
work on that.
and Schwind as well. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, the last thing before our LCS conversation ends, though, and we'll work on getting the mic issue fixed, is you have to give a giant shout out to Wavepunk's giant belt buckle.
Oh yes,
Always.
of course.
Seen
Always.
a single 4 times, and the other 3 times were basically when he was in front of the touchscreen. He wasn't banking on them making him stand up when they hired him for this.
Well, he's
So
worn
He is
that
from
on
Texas.
he's worn that on every single
Yep.
stream. But you've never seen him stand up before until we had the whiteboard, and then RLCS with the let's see all of the casters. Look, they have legs.
They have it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I've actually talked to Wavepunk personally about this in Discord, and it was just the back and forth about that belt buckle is just fantastic. It's one of those things where I called him out on it as soon as I started talking to him, kind of a back and forth on casting tips and that.
Oh, yeah.
It was that he was just a huge, just really good humored about everything. It's huge shout out to those guys.
Oh,
Because
all
they
of the
really-
casters for LCS.
Yeah, absolutely. You had
Fantastic
You
job.
had Lawler, you had Wavepunk, you had James Bot, you had I know I'm missing a few.
Leaf, Lawler, James Bot,
Leaf,
Findable,
Harper.
Wavepunk,
then
Golden
the
Boy,
analysis,
Axel
too, from
Toss,
Gibbs.
and Gibbs. So
Thank
Gibbs and
you,
James Bot
Fantastic.
were on an analysis, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, those guys made the RLCS environment what it was.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they were the
So-
hype men of RLCS.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing is as
and-
well is that all of those guys are so genuinely nice in real life, and they really are just best friends. Like, all of them now, they've been through this process. They're just, most of them knew each other from stuff that they'd been doing before anyway, and for streaming together and all kinds of stuff. Like, just earlier on, I was watching Carpet with, I think it was Wavepunk. I don't remember. It was Lo5, and then I think he was streaming drunk with Lawler possibly afterwards. And they're just hanging out all the time, and they're just so genuinely happy to being
And
doing what
I
they
don't
do.
think I don't think there's a time when I go on the Rocket League Twitch page where one of them isn't on there playing, and they are so consistently good at speaking to all of the people in the Twitch chat, giving advice, and just saying, "Come love our community. We're beautiful people, and we love playing a beautiful game."
Yeah, and it is a beautiful game. We love it. We love Rocket League.
Without a doubt.
For sure. Okay, so we're gonna get away from the RLCS at this point.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
think we've touched on that at this point too at length enough.
Restraining order
some
inbound
things.
for all the extra touching.
We need to touch on some roster changes that have happened for.
Where to start? The
Yeah.
first one that I heard about was Mike Rules, and I would like to start there actually.
Okay, go for it.
So we have Flipside, which was originally, Cookser, Marky Doodah, and Mike Rules.
Mhm.
And Mike Rules has decided to step down. I don't know. I have heard a couple rumors. Either it is officially he's done forever, or that he's not playing again or streaming until November. I was watching a VOD of it about a little bit earlier last week.
Yeah.
And it was really disheartening. He was kind of like, guys, it doesn't need to be this sad thing, but you could kind of tell in his voice that there was some definite issues. And I know he doesn't want us to go into too much details about what's going on in his personal life, But in regards to the professional side of Rocket League, that is a man who will be missed.
Well, so essentially with Mike Rules, I mean, the Reddit post basically put it out plain that he's, at least for now, done with competitive Rocket League. Whether or not he returns.
And we have, Schwinn right now saying that last night Mike said he would be back. He said he'd be back in November. I do remember him saying that. But as I said, he said he'd be done streaming. And I don't know if that means he's going to be still playing competitive. As we just saw recently today, his spot has been filled on Flipside Tactics.
Yes. Yeah, and we're going to get into that in a
what
second.
A sign that is.
Before we do that, Mike Rules, I mean, Mike, get life figured out. You know, essentially, this is not bigger than life itself. We know that. So get
lies.
Get
Why would you lie to the readers like that?
I just went completely against the beliefs in one of the 10 Commandments of Rocket Jesus, but you know what? It is what it is. Get yourself together. Get your life. You know, if your life's having issues, get that handled first. There is nothing bigger than life itself. So we definitely look forward to seeing you back on the EU scene and in the competitive scene. But as you just alluded to, Stone, it will not be with Flipside Tactics.
Yeah. Well, it might be. We don't know what's going to happen. 3 months is a long time, so.
Yeah, it is, especially in the world of esports. 3 months.
Especially in the world of no contracts that we have at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah. Oof. But so speaking of those no contracts, Northern Gaming is now down a player, and Flipside is up a Greasy Meister.
And man, what a sight! I am really looking forward to seeing what Cooks and Greasy pull off between the two of them, because they are both such amazing clutch players.
Yeah,
they just pull it out the bag.
I was about to realize what the shadow feels like.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, he already knows because of he's clearly overshadowed by his eyebrows. But Marky Doodah's eyebrow got a lot more press during RLCS than Marky Doodah himself did.
There was more crowd in his eyebrows than there were crowd at the RLCS International Final.
Yeah.
And it would probably have made more noise had we had a mic hook up to it.
Well, hang on. One thing we should say before we just completely leave RLCS, just because we brought it up. 85,000 peak concurrent viewers, guys.
Oh, man.
Holy! I mean, we made it to the top of Twitch on a Sunday afternoon. I mean, I'm done. I'm fine with that. I have no more to say. Like, just well done, everybody involved. It was a fantastic ride. Hell of a show. The production, I mean, Twitch, Psionics, the Magic of Golden Boy, and all the rest of the guys who I know, there must have been at least 30 guys in the background for production. Yeah, they did such a good job. Such a good job.
Can't wait for the second one.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to talk a little bit about the future of RLCS a little bit later, but we have to get into kind of the results of what happened in the week or so since RLCS, because everything kind of started going back into normal rotation with tournaments and leagues and things like that. Yes. And immediately after the RLCS final happened, I believe Rocket Royale did take a week off. There was just regular ESL and Gfinity. Nothing really other than you looked at Supersonic Avengers winning the matchup against New Archon in Gfinity at that point, so good on them to do that. With Pulsar, you had Pulsar over Imperial 5-0, Goom and Momentum 3-2 in their 5-game
I would like to talk about that. This week we saw Momentum, a team that I don't think is talked about enough personally, because their abilities. I've, of course, having come from Shift Pro League, seen these guys grow into an actual team, but Momentum losing to Exodus 3-1 wasn't where I'm talking about the Gamer Saloon. Sorry, I'll clarify. Was not a big surprise. We've seen them lose to Exodus before and kind of get shown up. So maybe they're not quite on that scale yet. Maybe Exodus is trying to make a point considering they didn't do so well at RLCS. But then we go to PPL and we see Goomba Squad beating Momentum 3-2.
Momentum has not had a good week.
No.
Yeah. Although that's a good score, I want to know what's going on with Momentum. They can beat Goomba Squad.
Well, one little they
have beaten Goomba Squad.
Agony and I had the pleasure of casting for PPL on that Wednesday during that Goomba Momentum matchup. And to tell you the truth, the biggest thing that was missing from Momentum was actually Miho. You had Timmy basically in for Miho on that particular day, so it was Dapper J Naps and Timmy instead of Dapper
Which
J
is
Naps
the actual squad originally.
Well, yeah, but the difference being is that usually JNAPS before was out and Miho was in, so the original squad is actually Dapper, Miho, and
Oh
Timmy.
yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh,
You're
right,
right.
got you. Yeah.
So essentially, the offensive rotation took a hit. Their technical ability, I think, took a little bit of a hit as well. The fact of the matter is Timmy, he gets busy with life. It happens to all of us.
Timmy is well, and Timmy I think is a little rusty. He has not been playing much recently.
And that's what I'm talking about. He basically life
You got to
outside of
keep
Rocket
that
League
edge sharp in the
gets in the
competitive scene.
way gets in the way of high level Rocket League play. Therefore, that's why JNAPS has been in. That's why you had Air and Squishy Muffins sub for him at a tournament for Shift Pro League in a couple of different times. So basically, it just comes down to life getting in the way. It happens. He was on this particular day, and the first 3 games of that series between Goomba and Momentum, Goomba absolutely took it to them. Their rotations were crisp. They basically countered everything Momentum tried to do on offense. And the only thing that Momentum was able to scrounge out the last 2 games is it seemed like those 3 kind of started to find a groove together.
Mm-hmm. They
Because
started maybe communicating.
right. Well, the thing about it with Momentum right now is with Miho still working on getting a PC. I think he might actually have one now. I'll get a confirmation on that. But they only really get their practice in tournaments. They don't really queue up together and do ranked or do unranked or anything like that.
Yeah, they are. Well, they are probably. I believe it was Gibbs who said this, and I think he's very right in saying it. They essentially are the PlayStation Network team. They all started.
They all started there. Yep.
Yeah, they've just moved one at a time onto PC.
And, yeah, I think it started at first with Dapper or Dappa, whichever one you want to go with.
It's Dapper. It's Dapper.
I like go on his stream and you can annoy him saying Dappa, but Dapper, of course, was the first one to switch and has been making a big movement, building some momentum for their team, you could say. And it looks like
hey.
I know actually Miho does have a computer. I played against him, and considering he was playing in my rank, he was on a new account. That is for certain. But I think that leaves a few other players. I don't know if JNAPS has a computer or not, or if he's
JNAPS, formerly of Lucky Bounce, ended up moving there after the initial breakup from Lucky Bounce. Now they're apparently back together.
On Lucky Bounce is back together. That big announcement we were all waiting for on Twitter, and then they were just, we brought the band back together again.
That was a couple of weeks ago now, though, wasn't it?
That was about a week before RLCS.
So what you're saying is it was last era.
Last era, yeah. My life consists of pre-RLCS,
so long ago.
Well, no, it's post Rocket Jesus and pre Rocket Jesus. Like that's what we're in.
We have the
we're in our BRJ and then we're in PRJ now. So
I like it.
BRJ and AD after debut.
After debut,
yep. So
but
ultimately. Yeah, it's a momentum show once they get their wheels back underneath them. But I think,
we'll start seeing some real power behind these guys taking out some big teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Once they're all on PC,
that's my team to watch RLCS qualifier too.
Once they're all on PC with unlimited frames per second as opposed to whatever the PS4 caps out at. Oh dear, bringing that conversation in. But apparently JNAPS, according to Schwind in the chat, has a PC that he failed to put together correcally.
Yeah, I did hear that he was having issues with that on a particular
So he does have a PC, he just hasn't,
he just
all the little bits of Lego still need to connect up.
Okay. We all mess up on that stuff.
I have an IT background. In the IT world, we call that a picnic error. And it's not anything more than problem in chair, not in computer.
Yeah.
Or PibCac, problem in between keyboard and chair. That's another one. So ultimately, JNAPS will get that figured out. Either way, Momentum definitely a team to watch going into RLCS season 2.
Just to watch in the future in everything they can.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Keep your name on it. Go follow Dapper and Timmy and What's Up Miho, all of them on Twitter, because they're cool guys and they are gonna be big names in Rocket League.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But going away from PPL for a little bit, we did see the other matchup in that was Foresight and Imperial 5-0 for Foresight, as we more or less expected on.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
Yeah, good series, close matches for the most part. I think there were 2 OTs in that particular series, but ultimately, last couple of games, Foresight just they are who we thought they were.
A good fight for Imperial, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was surprised with the scores there.
Yeah,
Just to
exactly.
go over the rest of Gamers Saloon, we had Kings of Urban beat Lucky Bounce 3-1. iBuyPower beat Too Easy 3-1. I'm actually maybe
Kinda
iBuyPower is
surprising.
going back to their old ways of always giving up one game.
Well, I think that it's actually important to note that that is, I think, the first time Kings of Urban have played competitively since RLCS. So
I think so as
so
well.
for them to get the win is it's got to feel good after
That's
just
probably
how
needed for them.
Silent,
Yeah.
you and I watched a little bit of that KOU and Lucky Bounce game on that particular day. I'm trying to remember who was in for Lucky Bounce on that particular occasion. It was Torment.
No, don't do this to me. Guys,
I don't
you know
remember.
my memory
I
goes
did
back
watch
12
that
hours.
I'm correct. I did watch a replay of that one.
Yeah.
And it was Torment, Memory, and Darkfire.
Darkfire was definitely I think the other one was Memory. Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Yeah. So Memory, he was definitely there. My memory's gone, obviously. But yeah. Good work by them to get the band back together. KOU did kind of try to do what they could to avenge an RLCS disappointment, though, as they were definitely one of the biggest disappointments of the international final.
Oh, I would absolutely agree with that, and I think
would,
that's very much needed for them to come back from that. Well, it is, but it also isn't. Because at the end of the day, they were the number one freaking NA seed, and they came in and they went home 7th. Was it? It's just
the truth for them is like the sun for me. It burns. Okay. So that's generally how it went.
It's
but
good.
Ultimately,
and Lucky Bounce was a team that was doing really, really well in the group stages of.
They were. Yeah.
Of Group 2.
There's no doubt.
Second group stages of RLCS.
Yes.
And so that is, that's not just we beat any other team. They beat a good team. And they beat them 3-1. They can feel confident.
Yeah, Lucky Bounce is a good team. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the last game of Gamers Saloon that I didn't mention, I wanted to save the best for last, just so I could be more of a broken record for my two co-casters here. Genesis beat Mocket NA 3-0. And if we're looking at the rankings right now for the world, I could not be more frustrated.
Look, if you're going to make me listen to the boring stories about your kids, you could at least make me a cup of tea first. You know what I mean? if we're going to be, mums about this, then let's get the kettle on. And
one of these days, we'll go out to get tea and crumpets, and we'll.
I swear, when I finally get myself over to your neck of the woods over in America, I'm expecting you to turn up in like a big Suburban and there's like kids piling out, but it's just Genesis with holding controllers.
I would love to be.
But I'm imagining them like 12 years old with like their soccer kit on.
Yeah. I can't even. Nope. That image is burned into my brain forever. But yeah, the other one obviously with Exodus beating Momentum that was already alluded to 3-1. Exodus kind of solidifying Momentum's really just bad week.
Mm-hmm.
So, but ultimately after that Gfinity, and then we did have another Pulsar matchup. It was Imperial taking a 4-1 advantage over Galleon.
Who are Galleon? I've never heard of this team before until just now.
They're kind of unknown. They're up there.
I guess that.
They're not a powerhouse. I've watched Galleon play 2 or 3 times now.
They're not in the power rankings, are they?
No.
No. Yeah,
they've been in the
I'm not completely mad then.
To watch not recently, but in prior history. Yeah. Galleon, their biggest thing that they need to work on is consistency. I feel like they just don't play together enough, or at least don't take it seriously enough to actually compete at that level of play.
Yeah. I mean, consistency is important in any sport, so especially this one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit though about August 14th. Rocket Royale is what I'd like to mention. There's a lot of matchups.
It's just a wall of fixtures and results.
It really is, but at the same time, there's a lot of really notable ones in here.
Flying Dutchman Aeriality. I'm annoyed that I didn't watch that. I would have loved to have been able to watch that. But obviously Sunday I was in London, so yesterday.
Yep. Yeah, Flying Dutchman Aeriality with the 2-1 score. That does seem like it would be one. I didn't have a chance to catch that one either. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of other actual just notable, things here. And actually, D-Pants has given us a little bit of info on Galleon. It's Vafeli Air Rejects, and he's working on the third.
And he's dotting dot.
They're
No,
good.
Well,
even
that
Pants
should
doesn't know
clarify
who's on their
things.
roster. Like they're literally the most unknown team in the competitive scene right now.
I love it. But yeah, let's take a look here. You had Northern Gaming ended up dropping a game to, I believe that's Unique Stars, if I'm right,
Yes.
2-1. That's third row down. Or
That
fourth
doesn't.
row down, sorry.
It never surprises me if Northern Gaming drop a game though, because the thing is that the way that Northern Gaming play, it's just off the back foot. Oh, D-Pants is doing it in mid game.
Yeah,
Brilliant, love it. But
what are we paying you for?
yeah, jeez, come on, man. You're not here to play. You're here to tell us about rosters because we are like clever enough to do this ourselves.
All right. So we have Buffel, well, how do you pronounce that? Buffele? Air Rejects and
I've heard a
Eva.
couple different ways of doing it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, those guys, as I said, seen them play. They just don't have the consistency. I don't think they're quite ready to play at that level yet.
Yeah.
And that's why we haven't heard of them.
Well, they found their way into the PPL, so good on them to find that.
Yep. I think they're working their way up there.
It's a step. It's definitely a step. Ultimately, the culmination of the of Rocket Rail for that particular day, Supersonic Adventures taking a 2-1 series over Firewall, and not really finding, other than Flying Dutchman taking a 3-0 hit to Ecstatus.
Ecstatus. I don't know this team.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know
neither
who
do
this is. So
Ecstatus has 2 members according to.
I'll tell you what, Flying Dutchman know who they are.
Yeah, Flying Dutchman really knows who they are now.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's basically how that goes.
Yeah,
and then,
I do you know what? I just skated right past that when I'm looking at it on. To be fair to the website we're using here, it's rl-report.com. It's a great place to keep up to date on everything.
If you have not checked them out.
Yeah.
And you want to know about Rocket
guy
League.
who runs this, and he basically, it's a one-man show. He
Yeah.
puts up results, he puts up articles, he puts up things like that. It's very, very good on him to do so. Definitely give Filthy some hype in the chat, and also check out rl-report.com. That's where you're going to find all the results that we are listing off here. So
Cool.
Very, very good work by him.
So yeah, Ecstatus, like they've just come out of nowhere and 3-0 Flying Dutchman after Flying Dutchman did so well at RLCS.
RLCS, yeah, that must feel very good. If we were to look at the other games that they played though throughout this series,
well, they didn't do very well anywhere else. Like
they beat Team Shazoo, which is not a well-known team. They lost to Aeriality.
Well, this is where I'm confused because Aeriality beat them, but they lost to Flying Dutchman. And there's something very interesting about that. I would like to know the order.
Well, Aeriality beat them, and they beat the Flying Dutchman. That's what is interesting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They lost to Aeriality, but they managed to beat Flying Dutchman. It's like I wouldn't say that Aeriality is anywhere close to the Flying Dutchman that we saw at LAN. I haven't seen them play since.
Could it be just a contrasting styles, you think?
I wouldn't say that. We all know, we've kind of seen the way the Flying Dutchmen play, and I think they're really good about changing up their play style against who they're playing. And I don't see why they would lose against that, I guess, unknown team, unless this team is on their way up in the ladder.
Or possibly it's just that there wasn't enough information, because we know that the Flying Dutchmen are a team that put in a lot of work and they practice a lot of specific tactics to counter specific teams. So it could be that they just didn't have the information they needed to be able to sort of keep on top of that, you know, like there wasn't enough information about Extality for them to do what they normally do, and then that caught them off guard.
Which I would not doubt.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hit. So.
Okay, so D-Pan dropping some intel on us. If Vifeli's retirement from hyper competitive RL back when Untethered broke up, that tells me Galleon is casual.
Yes, grammar fail there for sure. Yeah. Thank you for that. What a clause to read out on a podcast. We're trying to create high quality media, damn it.
Ultimately, though, and if that's the case and they are more casual, I mean, good on them to at least get into that spot. That's good stuff from them.
Yeah, of course.
But ultimately, you know, last result we ought to mention here. Last one of Rocket Royale, Team Enjoy beat up on Unspecified 2-1 in that series. And then the other one I wanted to mention, Supersonic Adventures seems to have Firewall's number, as they played them 2 days in a row, it looks like. That was a 2-1 series in Rocket Royale and then a 3-0 in
Gfinity.
So,
Which, Supersonic Avengers, Man, I was sad not to see Doomsy specifically go to RLCS. That is a funny man, and I wanted to see more of him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was actually disappointed that I didn't have Doomsy on Jinx with me last night. I mean, Sorry.
We're going to talk about Doomsy in just a second. I do want to drop a quick thank you to D-Pants, not doing it because you said it, but because you are dropping info mid-game for us, and very, very much thank you for that.
Don't thank him.
No, we got him to keep. We want him to keep doing this.
He's part of the podcast now. He's the QI elves.
I love it. Okay, we have to get. If we're gonna talk Doomsy, and we will. We have to talk about the video.
The video.
If you have not
I am gonna go.
I will link it right now for you.
Yes, link it in the Twitch chat.
Put that in there. In fact, do you want to just create? I'll just create a command for it because I know that I'm gonna want to link this to people in the future. It's easier for me to just do that.
He's creating a command, and while he's doing that, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. Basically, we all saw the intro video to Kronovi. It was linked on the Rocket League page, on the Rocket League Facebook page and Twitter before RLCS, the international final, actually happened. Now, Doomsy went through and basically made a complete mock-up of this video in his own image.
It is so good.
Hilarious.
It is absolutely the funniest Rocket League themed movie.
I have never laughed at anything that is like media surrounding this.
Yes.
Yeah. I would agree.
Not
and
ever.
This had me giggling like I was Curtis.
Go watch that video because
it's so
you
good.
get a whole different side of Doomsy than you have ever seen before.
But you know what, right? That's actually something that's because I've met Doomsy. I've been on TV with him and stuff. Like we've sat in a room waiting to go into the studio for hours just chatting about what's going on in Rocket League, and he's a great guy. Like I can't stress enough that Doomsy's just fantastic. So shout out to Doomsy for definite, especially with him and the subpar guys. Obviously we got to give Cole and I imagine Shogi as well a bit of credit for that because that is the subpar channel that video came out on. But but he's just so different to how he comes across in the videos that he's been in the past, because in the past, like when he's been on subpar and stuff, he's always come across as quite serious, and I was quite surprised when I met him to find that he's just a raving loon. It's the best way that I can describe him.
If you've ever watched Kids DFH Locker, which Doomsy is now,
that's something I've looked at now. So yeah,
I definitely think that fits his character, and that definitely fits who you see in this video. Yeah. And going from karate to jiu-jitsu to judo to I can't remember what the other one he said was.
So many talents, including pulling out a completely economical black belt out of his wardrobe.
Yes.
And saying, I got my black belt when I was 7.
And no joke, that looked like a black belt that you get on like a pair of trousers when you buy them from the supermarket. You know, like they just came with a belt. It's but I mean, subpar but in HD as well. If you guys, if you're listening to this or watching this and you don't know what subpar but in HD is, and you play Rocket League, then there's something wrong with you. Go check those guys out on YouTube. A shout out to them again. Cole versus Doomsy.
But in HD.
Have you guys seen the Cole versus Doomsy episode 1? Yeah.
Yes.
That's so good.
All of these are videos that everyone should watch.
Yeah,
if you are just playing and you want something to listen to or have time, look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Highly recommended. We don't have a whole lot of time.
No, we're just about done. I think. Is there anything else you guys
want to talk about?
And there was one thing we did miss earlier that I think needs to be mentioned. I apologize, Curtis. We missed the team that is no longer a team, Mocket EU.
Yeah. They're gone.
Gone. Turbo Pulsar left. Pashy is no longer on a team. His 2 friends are no longer his friends.
I do wonder what's going to happen with that, because those guys did not play as people expected them to at the LAN. I don't think anybody's surprised, given what happened, that they're not a team anymore, because they did worse than Kings of Urban, and Kings of Urban tanked. Let's be honest.
I'm going to absolutely keep it civil, because we are live, we are being recorded.
Yeah, of course.
We are on the record, but ultimately, the closure of Mocket EU, I think, could be the charge that sets off the implosion of the building. If you're getting what I'm putting down here.
For anyone listening, I
Yeah,
would agree with that.
I think that
Yeah.
I think that it would be
Could be.
remiss of us not to just bring this out into the open and say that Market is an organisation that doesn't have a good reputation. You only have to go on Reddit to see this. This isn't news to most
This
people.
isn't news, no.
So
And
so
we're for sure keeping it civil. There's no doubt
and
about
of
that.
course, let's be honest as well, that the teams, I believe that it's a sponsorship. I don't think the teams are actually owned by Mocket. So as
No.
far as I'm aware, so the teams are a separate entity to the name that they bear. But there is a lot of ill feeling in the community towards Mocket, and I mean I won't go into any of it because there's a lot of he said, she said, they said, somebody did a thing,
no,
and
it's not our business to onto a podcast
What?
as far as that goes.
We're a
other
news
than to
podcast.
say-
It's in the
Well,
public
yeah.
interest.
It is our
That's
business.
That's exactly why we're here.
At the same time, it's
Yeah,
more of a...
there's nothing that we can say because there's nothing to verify it. So so Schwind is just pointing out in the
Yes, I was
in the
just
chat
gonna
that we
mention
haven't mentioned Shift.
We really haven't, and that's something that I did want to touch on. That was one.
You
of the
wanted to
things
wrap it up with Shift, didn't you? That was what you wanted to do.
Wrap it up,
Same.
but also we have a couple other things that I wanted to get into.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna I'll do this first because the second thing is a little bit on a bigger scale. We are gonna talk a little bit about Shift because there was a very we actually ended up losing out on a series because we had a team end up forfeiting the third place or their second semifinal. So ultimately, what we ended up having happen, the winners of Shift this week in the weekly number 1 were Lemonade for Turtles. I like to call them Looking for Team, or Lemonade for Team, or Looking for Turtles. On many occasions during that, because their initials during the game, they all had the
RLFT.
LFT tag.
Yeah.
Yep, they all had the LFT tag, which is quite interesting.
So what you're saying is that they're actually looking for Squirtles. They've all got their phones out.
They're
They're on
looking for
Pokemon Go.
Squirtles.
Those are the turtles that they're looking for. Specifically, it's Squirtle turtles.
Now, the big thing that shocked me is they went through. They went not just over, but also through one of the bubble teams in the community power rankings, as D-Pants is alluding to here. Boost greater than Ball ended up getting 4-0 in the finals for Shift, which the series wasn't even that close.
That's a very big surprise, and I was able to
Yeah.
catch only the first 2 games of that series, but I remember thinking that Boost over Ball did not show up.
Maybe next
That's
time
a
they'll
team
come back
that-
as Ball over Boost and win.
And maybe they'll learn what's more. But
But
that was
ultimately,
very
I mean,
impressed.
it was a tournament. It was a tournament with 50 teams, and Lemonade for Turtles, which I think was one that wasn't really. It was more of a last minute, but it wasn't quite as last minute as our third place, as our fourth place team, which was last minute team. But Finger Puppet Mafia ended up winning that one 3-0, as they actually in that semifinal to get into the finals match, they lost to Lemonade for Turtles, and ended up securing the third place because of that. So ultimately, it was a big disappointment not to have the traditional third place matches. We would have had it, but ultimately a really, really good showing by Lemonade for Turtles, and we're going to look forward to seeing what happens this coming week. For those that are unaware, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a plug for this, but Shift Pro League is doing what's called the Shift Pro League Extra Life 1-Up Tournament. And essentially what this is in conjunction with the Extra Life movement that Twitch sponsors. It is with the Children's Miracle Network, and any money that is donated to Matcherino, that is donated to the tournament, and half of the prize pool for this tournament will be donated to Hurley Children's Hospital in Flint, Michigan. Now, I live 15 minutes from this hospital, and it is right in the center of the Flint water crisis. For those of you in the United States that have heard about it, where basically there's lead in the water, none of the citizens of Flint, Michigan, can drink it, or bathe in it, or use it for any stretch of time at all. So basically, the kids need the help. It's the Children's Miracle Network does youth cancer research, which is where a majority of this ends up. But it's a big thing that I wanted to touch on when I got involved with Shift. It's something I literally mentioned day 2, and the fact that this project is coming to culmination is a big step for me, and I really, really enjoyed doing it, as well as Shift enjoys doing it. So huge shout out to Gabe, who gave the okay to go ahead and do that, plus the effort that we're getting from all the guys at Shift in the background.
Okay.
And we do have a pin post on Reddit for this, so check out the r/RL
Definitely check that out. But we're gonna have to close it off now because I've just realized that OBS is recording to my SSD, and it just popped up saying I'm running out of storage space. So before anything happens to this recording, we must end the podcast. So I've been SilentEcho. We've got Rock Whisperer here at _Rock Whisperer. At Rock_Whisperer on Twitter, and we've got Curtis at RL_Curtis. We're gonna be back next week, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 9:30 BST, and we're gonna be all good to go. So thanks for joining us this week, and we're going to make sure that we get this all out to all the normal places you get podcasts as well. So if you missed any of it, you can get it on iTunes, and I'll work out how RSS feeds work tomorrow and get that sorted out as well. So thank you, everybody.
Yes. Yep. Thanks, guys.
See you later.